Hi there, Llyn Hunter, Llynhunter, and today our video is starting at the end rather than the beginning. This is the painting that I did of my Basenji dash for my husband for his birthday, and this took me quite some time. This is basically, actually, it's not that long for most of my paintings. A lot of the work that I do for Warlord, Saga of the Storm, and some other illustration work can take me up to anywhere from 10 to 20 hours to do. This particular piece took me about 5 to 10 hours to do, because if you include the drawing actually I did on video, which I'm linking below, and that did not take me very long. That took me about probably an hour. So along with the painting of this, it's about a 5-6 hour piece tops. This is not as detailed as I sometimes do. I will do excessive detail at times. This one is a combination of a little bit of colored pencil and primarily watercolor. And this is the photograph, and I talked again that this is the photograph that I took, and then this is the painting. This is the final painting of Dash. And what I'm going to show you right now is a real quick, I'm going to finish up the, I've done some mistakes here because my brush will occasionally flick off a few little droplets of paint. And when something like that happens, and you still want the piece to look nice at the end, you can save it with, this is basically a standard box cutter blade. You can use an X-Acto knife blade or a razor blade. And I just wanted to show you really quick how you can fix watercolor when you make mistakes. And all I'm doing is I'm going to lightly scrape at the surface of the paint. And this is very much like using sandpaper. And you're just really sanding down that top layer of fiber. And I've got a little bit of a dot there. And so like I said, I've got several dots, and what I'll do is I will go back and forth over them just a little bit here and there, because I have a tendency, I'm a bit of a brute. I'm very messy with my painting. I am a bit of a brute with my painting. I'm very vicious with my brushes. I will not take very good care of them. I wish I were better. Sometimes, you know what your problems are, so improve them. I try, but, sometimes that's the kind of person I am. I'm rather messy, but that also adds personality and life to my work, because I'm that type of a personality. My personality comes through in the brush strokes that I use, in the drawings that I use, because I'm not perfect. My imperfections make things, I feel a little bit more enlivened. My personality comes through. And when you're doing your artwork, all your personality will come through in your artwork in one form or another. So if you're very meticulous and you do everything right, that'll come through. But I'm not. I'm messy. So what I've learned to do is I make lots of mistakes. So what I have learned how to do in life is fix my mistakes. And if you fix your mistakes, nobody's perfect. So if you want to make something appear perfect, that I'm rather good at, is that I can fix things to a point where I'll make them look very perfect by not doing that. Now, see, this is really good paper. This is Blick hot press, and hot press is really easy to fix. Whereas cold press, you can fix that as well in the same fashion, but it's actually much easier to fix your mistakes on hot press than it is on cold press, just because you can see I am just scraping away and it just becomes dust. It's almost like pencil, but what you want to make sure is don't dig into the paper. Just scrape it over the top, just like you were doing really fine sanding, like sanding on sandpaper. And then what I'll do after I get that done, let me find my kneaded eraser. Of course, I don't have it right out in front of me as I need it. It's like, am I prepared? heck no. I'm never quite prepared for what I need to do for you guys. This is a kneaded eraser. I'm always talking about my kneaded erasers. My mom took an advertising course or advertising art class at her local junior college when I was a kid, and she brought home kneaded eraser, and I'd never seen one of these things before. So I must have been like 12, 13, maybe. Yeah, about that. And I'd always used, pink pearl erasers and, rubber erasers, but Mom brought home this kneaded eraser, and these things are like silly putty, if you've ever used silly putty. And actually, the Renaissance artists used to use bread dough to erase things. They didn't have rubber erasers. They used bread dough. And I found that out and going, gee whiz, why didn't I know about this earlier? And so the thing is, you can see the stuff that I've just scraped away, some of the initial drawing that I did up here that I'm not as pleased with. As I'm looking for the blade I just had in hand. This is a different one. But okay, so I don't like that. I did a little bit of over drawing here, so I'm going to scrape that away just a little bit. Again, nobody's going to notice this but me, and a lot of times the mistakes you make, it's like, oh, there's my other blade right there. I'm sorry. And as I bang my camera there, my apologies. But it's like I said, nobody's perfect. Everybody makes mistakes. Know how to fix your mistakes, and this is one way of fixing my mistakes. And the thing is too, is nobody's going to, because I know how to fix my mistakes, nobody's going to ever know I made that mistake. And and again, even if I left those mistakes might be something that I see more than somebody else. But here's the thing: if you know how to fix your mistakes, nobody's going to ever know you made them. I used to be in ski patrol. And the standard line, especially when you're doing backcountry skiing, is that it's not a fall if you can get up and ski away. So there, I'm fixing those. And again, going in with my kneaded eraser. I might, if I had really big mistakes, I'd pull out my latex eraser and I'd alternate between latex and the kneaded eraser and back. And so this is the end of the painting. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the actual full painting to the video. So if you want to see me paint this all, just hang on, and I'm going to do a speed painting. Basically, I'm upping the camera so you don't have to sit through 3.5 or 4 hours of me painting this. And so for like 10 minutes. I don't think you'll want to look. I'll make it quick enough so it isn't a pain for you to watch. So thank you. And here you can watch me paint it. So I hope you enjoyed watching me paint the image of Dash here. Again, this is my watercolor set. I think you saw me in the beginning of the video. I cleaned out this palette with just water and a paper towel. I keep the palette basically filled. This is initially it was $43. This is the original. I bought another one from, I'm trying to think of the company online where I got this particular one, but I just keep this limited palette primarily because I can make just about all the colors I ever need with, I believe this is white, cad yellow medium, cad red medium, alizarin crimson. I have two different purples. One is usually a cool, and one is a this is a warm and then a cool. So one's got a little bit more red, one's got blue. There will be ultramarine, cobalt, and usually Prussian blue, which is like a turquoise blue, a blue green, a yellow green. So this is usually a viridian. This is permanent green, I believe. A yellow ochre, raw umber, and it's raw umber and burnt umber. Then burnt sienna, we'll use a ton of burnt sienna. Sepia, sienna, no, actually I think that's raw sienna, sorry, raw sienna, sepia, Payne's gray. I cannot live without Payne's gray. And I believe lamp black, and of course white's over there. I don't use a lot of white. I try not to use a lot of white. Traditional watercolor, you try to use the white of the paper. If I need to use white, I will use white. I'm not opposed to doing that. I also like to use gouache a lot. Again, gouache is delicate, watercolor is delicate. You can get, I mean, these marvelous washes that you get with watercolor, you can't get it with any other technique. I have used liquid acrylic. I have used, I use acrylic gouache. They're more permanent. They're not as, how shall I say, you don't get the marvelous color and like the feathering in here as much with an acrylic as you do with traditional watercolor that's using gum arabic and pigment. And it's one of the reasons why I can't give it up. I love the technique that you can get from watercolor that you can't get from anything else, except other computer you can get close to now. But anyways, thank you for watching. Llyn Hunter, LLYN_HUNTER. Please subscribe and like this. It helps the algorithm. I just want to get more people to see my videos to hopefully help them learn how to do some of this stuff. Thank you very much for watching again. I really appreciate it. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.